Hello there, MSFers. Season 4 is upon us in a few days' time, and with the new rules coming into play and the older ones being removed, in this video, I am here to talk about some of the things to take note of while you take on your Crucible rounds. First and foremost, this is not a guide on what teams to use for offense and what to use to put on defense. There's many other content creators out there with videos on that topic. I don't want to be a glorified translator to tell you what they have suggested. Please go watch their videos, check them out, give them a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Now, with Season 4 coming, some characters and teams are going to interact differently from past seasons, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, there'll be some things that you may want to look into as you make your team roster selection. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. But first and lastly, before we start, I'd like to let you know that I also stream all my CCA fights on Twitch. Do check out the link below and follow the channel for more. Other than that, let's get this video started. So we'll start off our first point with something that's fairly obvious by now, but something that we may not have realized how important this change is, and that is Gamma and Darkhold are no longer nerfed. Ever since the middle of Season 2, Darkhold has had 10% reduction in health, damage, focus, and resistance. And those that definitely did affect some of the team's performance against some of the meta teams. In Season 3, Gamma had the same treatment to those 4 stats, and it caused much anger with the player base. Many felt that Scopely was scoping out, reducing the power of meta teams so that they were able to sell Crucible specific teams like MOE and New Warriors to solve issues created by the restrictive room rules of the last 2 seasons. Think about Vibranium tuning for the Wakandans, even the Tango Web Eternals room was created so that they could sell the New Warriors. However, with the fresh new changes to Season 4, these 2 teams are now back at full power. So these 2 teams, Darkhold and Gamma, you'll be able to utilize their full stats in this upcoming season. Were you annoyed at how tough Darkhold was to beat in Room 5? Ever got your ability block or your stun resisted by Wong or Morgan Le Fay? Well, it's gonna get worse right now. Have you ever seen a G18 Red Hulk and it still wiped the floor even with those reduced damage stats? Well, for the next 3 months, you'll be facing them at their optimal power levels. But do take note that those changes also affect your offensive roster as well. So if you do have Darkhold or Gamma on offense, you can also use these 2 teams to beat your opponents at their own game. Now, in Season 4, one of the things that you may want to take note of is that Hela goes before Zombie Ironman. During Season 2, one of the other global rules that was introduced was a reduction of 10% speed for Cosmic Mystic villains. This meant that characters like Heartless Doctor Strange and Dormammu were nerfed because they had a reduction of speed. One of the characters that actually benefited from this was actually Hela. Naturally, Hela has 110 speed, while Zim has 109. What that basically means that in normal combat, Hela goes before Zim. So now you may be wondering, how does my Zim go before Hela in war? Well, actually in war, when Hela is an ally, Zim gains speed up, which allows Zim to go before her in the turn order queue. And that allowed players to use the combo where you use Zombie Ironman special to apply Disrupt, Ability Block, and Bleeds on a target for Hela to spread with her ultimate. So that was a very potent combo in war. Now back to CC, this 10% speed reduction as mentioned allowed Hela to go after Zombie Ironman, activating the very same combo that we use in war. This definitely benefited a lot of combinations with teams like Tango Web and Eternals during the last 2 seasons. However, in Season 4, that will not be the case because the 10% speed reduction no longer exists. This means 2 things, right? If you like to spread the debuffs from Zim's special onto the enemy, you will need to wait for Hela's second turn to do that. While that may work in some situations, there may be teams that you may face that will spiral out of control before you're able to crowd control them. The alternative method is to have a faster character than Hela with a debuff that you want to team up with the Undying Duo. For example, if you need ability block to spread, Silver Surfer is a very good choice to use with the Undying Duo because he has 126 speed and a 2-turn ability block on his ultimate without the T4. While this will not spread the bleeds around that will activate Zim's passive where they would kill each other, but this will definitely help if you desire early control in that fight. The third point that I'd like to talk about is that in this season of Crucible, your Kang may not go first. You may have already realized this from the currently running Nova trials, but have you ever noticed that at times, your Titania goes before Kang, even when CC bars are active? Having constantly used MOE to take out the Wakandans over the past 2 seasons of Cosmic Crucible, you may have been used to seeing Kang take the first turn on the team. Well, this is due to the passive of Kang, where he gives himself 10% speed on spawn when an enemy spawns with speed up. For the Wakandan fight, Shuri is that member responsible for this. In fact, some of you may have already encountered a Wakandan team where they remove Shuri for somebody else and notice that the turn order goes a little bit whack. With Wakandans no longer being shoehorned into a singular room in Season 4 as it has been over the last 2 seasons, we will now be taking MOE into other teams to fight. Hence, take note if these teams spawn with speed up. With the speed up, Kang will definitely go first, but without them, the turn order will be a little bit different. To be fair, this is not as big of an issue, as Titania starting the fight, opening up with ability block with her ultimate is actually very useful in shutting down many teams on defense. Ability block and disrupt is very, very good. But take note that you may be wondering why Kang may not be going first, and it may be due to the opponent's on-spawn buffs. So take note that Kang's turn order may be affected depending on who you fight. For Season 4 of Cosmic Crucible, make your offense as flexible as the New Warriors. In this upcoming season, the New Warriors team look to be the Swiss Army knife for your offensive roster. While their season buffs are actually very nice, the truth is, it's not really significant enough to roll over all teams with both eyes closed. In fact, I will go as far as to say that the New Warriors will not be able to beat every single team that you will see on defense. However, one thing I'm very sure is that the New Warriors is very flexible, and out of the several teams that you see on defense, the New Warriors will be able to take out most of them. This is actually very important as compared to Season 3, because in Season 3, a lot of your offensive roster is only targeted to 1 or 2 teams in particular. In Season 4, it's very, very likely you're going to see varying defenses every round, especially in the first few weeks of Season 4. However, you can't use the New Warriors, and to a certain extent the Masters of Evil, in all your sex fights in every round. And so how you use your offensive roster is going to be a deciding factor in whether you win or lose your fights. Hence, set up your offensive roster to be able to adapt to many varying setups that you will encounter. Having teams that can only beat 1 or 2 teams on defense at the very most will become a liability if those teams aren't on defense for your opponents. For example, one thing that people are doing is to forego Rule 5 rules and use Unlimited X-Men on offense. Tangle Web is very important as well, because Tangle Web is a very strong offensive team for Crucible. Play around and see whether your setup works or not, and then make adjustments to your defense. Maybe you need to pull off one of your teams on defense that is versatile on offense as well. The fifth point and the final one that I'd like to talk about is about Room 1. Reading the room rules of Room 1, you will notice that Raiders on crit are able to apply minor defense down to the opponent. But you may be thinking, what is minor defense down? Basically, it reduces the damage of the character by 25%. On the flip side, this also means that the attacker does 25% more damage. This is as opposed to defense down, which is 50%. While it may still be a good thing to inflict upon your opponent, do take note that both defense down and minor defense down do not stack. Defense down overrides minor defense down. What this means is that if your opponent has both debuffs, the defense will only be reduced by 50%. That means that if you have a setup that constantly applies defense down to your enemies, you don't really need to think about the raider portion too much. For example, Abomination of his basic applies defense down, while his special flips defense up to defense down. Castro's all three abilities apply defense down to the opponents. So if you have a setup that takes advantage of this, then you don't really need to think much about the raider portion of this room. It's not really that important for you to change your ISOs to raider to complement your strikers for their benefit. And so that's that for the video. Just like add two more things. Firstly, it's very important for us to learn as the season goes on. You know, with this fresh new rules, season 4 is going to be a time where we're going to change the way we play CC, and it is very important to learn from what we do and what our defenses does. 3 months is a very long time, and I'm very sure that by the time the season ends, your offensive roster and your defensive teams will be very different from what you started off with. Go find out what's efficient for you. Look back at the log, see how your defense has been efficient in taking away their efficiency. And yeah, you know, do check out many of the content creators who have videos on how to fight these teams. But ultimately, remember that to enjoy the process and to have fun in the game. A game is meant for you to have fun, and it's very important for you to do so. I would like to say like relax and unwind, but let's be honest, Crucible isn't a game mode for that. But yeah, celebrate your wins, congratulate your opponents in your losses, and learn to strive better the next time. So good luck all of y'all. Hope season 4 will be a good time for everyone. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Once again, check out the description for the Twitch link where I do all my Crucible attacks. Do also give this video a like, subscribe, share with a friend, all that YouTube jazz. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. And we'll see you guys then. Bye!